Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk mockups. Now, there are many different ways to make mockups, but I'm going to share my way with you guys, okay? And I'm going to be using Canva. Now, I know a lot of people also use Photoshop. I have never used Photoshop before for a mockup. However, I'm willing to try it and see which one I like better, and I'll share with you guys my thoughts. So, why do we do mockups? Mockups can be used to bring your vision to life for clients or even for yourself. I personally like to do them if I have a lot of ideas in my mind and I'm not sure how to go about them. Making a mockup for myself certainly helps. So today we're going to be using Canva, and the file type that I like to use is presentation. So if you either search for the word presentation up on the search bar, or if you click create design up on the top right corner and then select presentation, that'll open up the file type. And the one that we want is the 16:9 ratio. From here, we want to create a blank presentation because we want a blank canvas. The next thing that I like to do is what I call setting the scene. Now, setting the scene means we're gonna bring in all of our elements that we're going to be using for this design. By elements, I mean I'm gonna bring in all my backdrops, I'm gonna bring in all my balloons that I'm using, pretty much everything that is going to be part of my actual design, we're going to bring into this canvas, okay? So the way that we do that is by going to elements over on the top left corner, and then we search for some of the elements that we're going to be using. As an example, I need an arch. So I'm going to go ahead and on the top left corner, I'm going to search for arch. And I'm going to find one that is similar to the ones that I actually use. So elements come in different forms. Some are graphics, some are frames. We are going to be using frames for some of the arches because we want to replace that little picture of the grass and the sky that you see with our own picture. Then I'm gonna go ahead and select another arch from the graphics section of the elements. Next, I'm gonna search for a rectangle frame. So remember, frames, you can replace the picture and give it a different pattern. You can add any picture into a frame and it'll replace that little grass, sky image that you see now. This rectangle frame is going to take the place of my green wall. And guys, this is definitely a trust the process moment because it'll all make sense in the end. I am going to resize my arches real quick because my grass wall I know is going to be 6.5 feet tall and my open arch is about 6 feet tall. Now, this smaller arch on the left, the black one, is actually white. And so if I change the color to white, it's going to blend in with the background. So now I want to change the background color to like a gray or just something different so that there's a contrast between them. Then I'm going to click on the black arch and I'm going to change the color to white. So I go click on the top color selector and then change that to white. Then we go to camera roll and we're going to bring in the images that we want to use on those frames. Okay, so I'm going to select my grass wall and my black and white checkered paper and I'm going to bring them into my canvas. So if you drag your image over your frame, it'll replace and insert your picture onto that frame. So that's what we're gonna do for both. Now, if you can see here on my frame, you can see the wall on the top right corner. So I'm gonna double click and enlarge that so that you can't see it. And we're gonna do the same with the open arch. So in real life, I'm going to be covering my open arch in a black and white checkered contact paper. And so I got this image from the Amazon store that I bought it from. Okay, so next we want to bring in our balloons. So before I started creating this mock-up, I went ahead and Googled each brand and color of the balloons that I'm going to be using. And then I just took a screenshot of the image, or I saved the image that came up on the web. So let's bring all 4 images onto our canvas. And then I'm gonna show you guys how I create what I call my digital balloon clusters. I'm going to go ahead and resize these images so that I can move them aside for now. Then we're gonna go ahead and rearrange our arches so they are in the right position. So I want to bring the small white arch and the checkered arch forward. So to do that, I place them where I want, then I click on the image and click on position up on the top, and then I select bring forward because I want these images to be in front of my green wall. All right, guys. So now we're gonna go ahead and go into elements, and we're going to search for a sphere frame. This is going to be how we create our balloon clusters, okay? So we're gonna select our sphere, we're gonna bring it into our canvas, and then we're gonna duplicate 3 times so that we have 4 frames. I'm gonna move them aside so that we can start replacing each frame image with one of our balloon colors, okay? Please note, when placing your image in the frame, a lot of times the image is a little smaller than your frame, and so you have this weird white edge around your sphere, and you don't want that. So double click in that frame and enlarge your balloon image to fit perfectly in that sphere. You don't want to see any of the white background in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that for each balloon color. So next, what we're gonna do is basically create our balloon design in a digital way. So the same way that I create my clusters in real life is the same way that I will create them on Canva. I take each balloon color and I create one 18-inch balloon, 5 11-inch balloons, and a cluster of 5-inch balloons. And guys, there's no measurements here. I'm just creating one balloon that's bigger to represent the 18-inch balloon, then one that's smaller to represent the 11-inch balloon, and then a tiny one to represent the 5-inch balloons. All right, so that's what we're gonna do right now. So I do this by duplicating each size of the balloon. So I click on each sphere and I click duplicate, duplicate, duplicate until I have as many as I need. And then I place them around to create what I want a cluster to look, or what my typical clusters look like. And then I group them together. To group them, I solely select all of those balloons by highlighting all of them and then clicking group. And now this has become like one whole little cluster. And I'll do the same for the 5-inch balloons. Then I'll place them with the other cluster and I'll group that as a whole. And that's how I create my clusters. Now, of course, I'm gonna have to duplicate these clusters because I'm going to need more than one. All right, I'll show you guys one more time. So I take my original sphere and I create 2 duplicates. One is going to represent an 18-inch balloon, one is gonna represent an 11-inch balloon, and the other is gonna represent a 5-inch balloon. And then I make copies so that I have as many of the 11-inch and 5-inch balloons that I need. After making copies, you want to place all of your spheres where you want. So you can give this whatever shape you want. I like them to look kind of like a real life cluster. So I place them around to take a shape of what one of my clusters normally looks like. And then I group them together by selecting all of those elements and then clicking group. And as you see, when you highlight all those elements, it gives you that option to group right there. We place our 5-inch balloons with our other cluster of balloons, and then we also group that together. And then we create more copies of the cluster. Now let's go ahead and do that for the other 2 colors. Guys, these mock-ups take time and effort. This should not be a free service that you offer. Never create a mock-up for a client who has not paid a deposit to you. this should be something that you offer to existing clients, those who already paid their retainer and you've already locked them in on a date and you're ready to start working with them, okay? Anyway, moving on, let's bring in other elements that I'm gonna be using on my design. I have some cutouts that I'm gonna be using. I have already saved the images in my camera roll. They are from Amazon. And I just went in and cropped each image individually so that I have each individual image. And I'm going to remove the background of each image so they don't have that white background that you currently see. Now, this feature is not free. Removing the background is a Canva Pro feature, all right? However, if this is something that you are interested in, that you may want to offer your clients, it is 100% worth it, in my opinion. So I suggest that you look into it and see if it can be of any benefits to you and your business. Okay, so to remove the background, you click on your image and then you go to Edit Photo and you see the little tool that says BG Remover, Background Remover. You want to click on that and it's going to automatically remove your background. However, sometimes it doesn't always get rid of the full background. So you're gonna click the little equalizer menu so that we can manually go ahead and erase that edge of that rose that's showing up next to the hat. Once you do that, click on the minus sign and then go ahead and make your brush big or small, however you need it, and clear that up so that your background is nice and clean. Now let's do that for the rest of the images. You'll see that I'm clicking on each image. I'm clicking Edit Photo, Background Remover, Equalizer menu if I have to remove any of the background manually. And then I'm just resizing each image so I can put them aside for later. Since we are now ready to start creating our design, we want to lock in those images that we set up in our rectangle frame and our arch frame. Otherwise, each time we try to bring anything near that frame is gonna try to replace that green wall picture and that checkerboard picture that we set up in the beginning. There are two ways to do this. You can click on your image and then click the little lock icon on the top, or you can click on your image, click the three little dots and scroll down to where it says lock and select lock. Either way, we just wanna lock the image, so it doesn't matter how you go about it. All right, guys, we're almost there. So now we're going to start creating our design. We're gonna start putting our balloon clusters where we want it to be. We're gonna give it the shape that we want. This is gonna basically bring our vision to life. How do we want it to look? How full do we want it? And it's gonna give us an idea of how to go about this in the real world. I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward through this part. This is really just me dragging each little balloon cluster and placing it where I want it and just playing around with it basically. So I'm gonna go ahead and play some music for you guys and I will be right back. And I'm back. All right, so here I am placing my props where I think I want them to go in real life. So I'm playing around with it, kind of seeing like what looks good where, what do I like, what's the vibe, how does it feel, you know? So this is why I say that this is a great idea, even for yourself as an artist, to catch a vibe. What is it that you're looking for? How do you want this thing to look, etc. Now I'm gonna be using a happy birthday neon sign in real life. However, when I tried to use the image of the neon sign and removing the background, it was not giving what it's supposed to give. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add a text box and use this neon font and write happy birthday. But here's the thing. My neon sign is white. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on my text box, go to effects and select the neon option. And then I'm gonna go ahead and change the color to a cool white. Okay, so that is so much better. But guys, this is it. This is what it takes to create a digital mockup The last thing I do is I go ahead and clean up all those extra balloon clusters that you see up there in the top left corner so that it can be nice and clean. And then I go ahead and save a copy of this as an image and I email it to my client or I text it to my client. If this is just for me, I use it as reference when I'm on site setting up to remember where I wanted things to go based on the mockup. But if you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments. If there's a better, easier way to do this, please do share. Like I said, I know there's different ways to do a mockup, different applications you can use. So please share your tips, tricks, all of it. We don't gatekeep around here. And of course, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll do my best to respond as quickly as possible. Again, thanks so much for watching. Give this a thumbs up if you learned anything today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.